Hello there, and welcome to another episode of Sex Talk with me, your host, Iyanna the model. And today we have Ashley Burks joining us, and I am so excited. She's one of my girlfriends from Miami, Florida. Actually, we met each other years ago in the modeling industry in Miami, and then she transitions into doing the spiritual things. But I'm gonna let her introduce herself, okay? Before we get started. So please introduce yourself, let the people know who you are, a little bit of what you do, and then we can get into questions.
Awesome. So, hi everyone, peace and love. So, my name is Ashley Burks. I am so many amazing things. I'm like, she's like, what you do a little bit? I'm like, everything that's about helping people get to the next level. I really focus on helping people build generational wealth, helping people to find spiritual and financial success is really my passion. Understanding that it goes hand in hand, knowing that, most people don't have time to do meditation if they're worried about keeping the lights on. So we had to find a way to help all of our brothers and sisters out there figure out how they can get to the next level, connect with their higher self, and yeah, that's what I'm all about. But I worked, like Iyanna said, in the fashion industry, music industry for years. Creative direction, I modeled, published wardrobe stylist, and yeah, I switched gears a little bit, but it's all about creating. We're all creators, so I just love to create.
Period. Okay. Extensive, long, good. Do you have your phone on there? I didn't even add so there's this on.
I put it on.
It's fine.
Do not disturb.
It's fine. Just in case we were gonna have like questions, whatever, I was like, it would be helpful to have an extra phone. But
I mean, I could grab it.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna grab it.
She's gonna grab that. Just in case, because the last time we had a conversation, it was amazing. There was a ton of engagement. We had a bunch of questions, and we could tell what the questions were because we had an extra phone. So we have two filming us now, and it will just be very helpful if we had an extra one with the volume low, just letting us know what's going on. So Ashley's gonna grab that so that we are here.
Okay. And we're back.
Perfect. And we're back. And we're back. Come on now, woman. Perfect. All right. So, my very first question that I always ask all of my guests, because I get an array of different answers, is what is your relationship to sex?
That's a good question. What is my relationship to sex? I think for me, sex is a important, integral part of life. I feel like as the goddesses that we are, that it's a beautiful way to express our divine feminine energy. And I look at it as a little bit deeper than sex, in the sense of sex has a certain cognitive to it. I think it's about spiritual connection on a deeper level, and merging and uniting your spirit with that one. So for me, my connection to it is really otherworldly.
How would you describe the divine feminine expression in sex, and how do you think that it showcases itself when you're practicing?
I feel like it's one of the most beautiful expressions that we could have having a human experience. It really allows you to connect with source on a high level. When it comes to manifestation, that's a big thing for me during that union, is to manifest what I want during orgasm. That's super powerful. So if you haven't tried it, try it out.
How do you try that? What are some steps that can be taken in order to manifest during orgasm for the people who don't know how to do that?
For the people who don't know, I would say it's just all about intention. like everything that you do should be done with intention, right? So when you're in that space and you're coming into that full release, I would say, just set your intention on what you want. Like, what do you want from this? What are you doing with this energy? Because you and that other being are connecting, right? And you're mixing your energy together, and you guys are both creating a larger energy force together, right? So what are you gonna do with that energy that you're creating? You know, on a higher level, you're taking that and you're putting it with your intention towards your focus. Like whatever you want to focus on. If you're like, hey, I want to have babies, this is what you want to like push your focus towards, right? But if you're like, hey, you know, I just want abundance and prosperity, and I want to connect on a higher level, like anything you're thinking your intention is, like put that into it as your orgasm, release it and let it go to the universe, and it works, girl. It works.
Mm-hmm. For those who don't know, this particular type of manifestation during sex is often described as sex magic, and it is the, as Ashley mentioned, active intention behind what your physical body is doing. So it is merging like the metaphysical and the physical, what we can't see and feel versus how we feel versus what we're doing. And the first time I became privy to that was when I was in Miami, actually, like between year like 2018, 2019. That's when I started to have my eyes open to everything like metaphysical and spiritual, I would say. That's when I got into numerology. That's when I started to understand, like, I don't know, different things about the zodiac or more of those things. That's when I got like wind of sex magic and sacred energy exchanges and just like everything that has to do with like spiritual connection in a positive light. And it does work. It indeed does work. So I think that like one of the reasons why I love these conversations is because there's so many people who have gotten to the point of consciousness before they have these conversations with me, and it puts an extra emphasis on intention when we have these conversations. And because so many people are like lost in intention when it comes to sex, it's they're more into the physical pleasure. They're more into instant gratification.
Yes.
They're more into whatever's gonna make them get off as soon as they want to get off.
Yes.
And like that's the only thing that they have in their mind. They lose all the other intentions they could have, and it makes it easy for them to miss things like sex magic that could really help them prosper, really help them grow, really help them get into certain like spaces that maybe they haven't even known that they had the ability to get into with themselves, you know?
It's powerful, you know, like, I wanted to add one thing, and I'm like, visualizing, you know, we talk a lot about visualization, you know, when meditation and when you're looking to manifest certain things, but visualization during intercourse as well is super powerful. So setting your intention and visualizing what you want. I've had experiences where like I've seen myself in past lives, you know, having you know, this beautiful experience with my partner and being able to see it shift from that timeline to this timeline. Like it's super powerful. And like you were saying, like you go through that period in your awakening and your journey where you're understanding going from the physical to, okay, this is more than just two bodies, you know, humping on each other. you go through that, and then it makes you appreciate it so much more. And that's why I was saying in the beginning, I was like, sex just has a cognitive to it where people are like, yeah, sex is just, you know, we fuck it, you know, but it's so much more than that. So I'm in my mindset, I'm like, oh, it's making love, because to me it's creating love. And I'm only creating love when I'm having intercourse and I'm participating and joining my energy with somebody. It's all it can be. It can't be anything else. because I've been there when it wasn't for love, and I understand what it's like to do it without love, being the censor and without intention, you know, and it's not interesting.
That's a great segue, because my next question was going to be, what's the biggest difference between your love then being this expression in your sexual life and how that is now? I guess, what was your sex like in the past, and why is it different now? What was it before?
It was fun.
I feel like every conscious woman can relate to that. Like, it did used to be fun,
It was
though.
fun, you know.
We are very restrictive now. What we doing with everybody? We done put a bunch of walls up. But back in the day, it was fun.
It was fun. I mean, it's still fun. It's just fun on a different level. You know, I guess for me back then, it was more about what I was getting out of it at the time. You know, how I was, because I've always been about pleasing myself. You know, I think it's very your face. I think it's very interesting for women, because I think with men, a lot of men, not all, a lot of men, they go in with the mindset that they're pleasing themselves, right? So I can speak for a lot of women that have been in situations where, you know, they might have hooked up with a guy and thought it was going to be that, and it was for him, and it was tap out, and you was like, why did I waste my time? So with that experience, it was just like, okay, well, what am I getting out of this? So if I am going to let you in and give you my body and my time, my energy, we're going to exchange this, how is this benefiting me, right? So I think that was my mindset, you know, from when I started first having sex. And I started having sex when I was like 15, 16 or something like that. I moved out when I was 15.
Oh, wow.
So I've been on my own for a long time. So around that time, for me, I was just like open to experiences. I was open to figure out, hey, like, what does this feel like? And I want to know. I want to try different things and see what it's about. And I was open with it for a while. And I was just like, hey, if I'm happy, then that's it. And I think that it graduated into, you know, I was in several long-term relationships. So it graduated in that, you know, even being in a 7-year relationship, what happened through that time was an evolution of, I guess, you know, my sex life, of being with one partner, and we tried a lot of different things. So I would say it was open. It's still open, but it has a lot more intention now.
So it was always for your pleasure, and now it's for your intent. And is that like very rooted in your partner's intent as well? Like where was the shift from fully pleasing Ashley to a very intentional sex life now?
The shift was definitely the spiritual journey and awakening. Also the connection that I had with my partner definitely took me to the next level of, okay, this is not just about me. This is about what we're creating together. For so long, and I told you I moved out when I was 15. I've been on my own for a long time, and I've always been independent, and I've always been an entrepreneur, always did my own thing, and just moved to the beat of my own drum. So it was always about what can certain things give me and do for me in life. And I think that was a big thing that Spirit showed me when it was like, okay, it's time for you to help others. Like, give back. And I mean, I've always loved people and helped people, but I always, you know, really shielded myself. And I grew up in Baltimore, so I came from a place that you grow up hard and you grow up with a show. So I was able to open up more, not only in my sex life, but even just as an individual, as a being here to serve. And with my partner, finding somebody that I feel open and willing to submit to, I think that was a big part of it, because you're not looking to submit to just anyone. I think that's a big thing for women. Like, we especially if you're independent. You're not like, oh, just dealing with this guy. And you're like, oh, I'm just gonna, whatever you say, it gotta be the right one. So, yeah, I feel like that connection, finding that one, switched the gears for me and showed me what it is to be a feminine energy. Showed me what it is to be a woman and say, okay, I'm here to show me what it is and say, okay, all right, how can we come together and use this energy towards everything that we're setting forth to accomplish in life and helping others? So,
I love that. What would you say is a timeline for like that experience, young experience, transition experience to now, like years or time frame?
Timeline. I'm like, what's today? It's always so, the time thing is so all over for me because I'm always moving around a lot. But I could say, I guess if we're going from younger years, so like maybe my teens until about, maybe I moved to Florida when I was like 19, I want to say. So when I went away for school, I was just like doing, figuring out from about 19, 20-ish until I was about maybe 25, I want to say. I was with my ex for that whole time. So that was like even a transition of getting to know myself better and kind of experimenting a little bit more with certain things. But then for me to be in the space now where I'm at, I'm gonna say when I moved to Mexico, that was 2020, I want to say. So from like 2020 until now, the past 4 years has been more of a change and a better understanding of like self, a better understanding of what I wanted, and what I was asking the universe for, versus just kind of figuring it out.
Okay. Yeah, I think that like for me personally, I've always been very cautious of the things I wanted to do in sex. I've always been open, I've always been curious, but I've also been cautious. I think I've always wanted to have fun, but like if it's safe. Like I've never been the one to do like, let's just go crazy. Like I've never been that one. I'm like, I'll do something you think is crazy, but it's actually statistically safe. Like that's the kind of stuff that I've always done. Whether it's jumping out of a plane and skydiving, whether it's like going and like hiking the rainforest, like no matter what I've done, I feel like it's always been in the like guise of my own personal idea of safety. And I think I've traveled all the way through my sexual journey in that way because I was very curious, so I did a lot of different things to experiment with other bodies, experiment with other genders, but I didn't have penetrative sex until I was like 21 actually. And once that happens, I kind of was just like, woo! And then I was like, I should probably relax. This is getting out of hand.
I think everybody goes through that. You gotta go through that emotion.
Right.
Like when you first had it, it's like, you're in heat.
Right. And it wasn't even like I had such a lust, because I've never been a lustful person, surprisingly. So it's not as if I even had a lust for sex. It was just like in my mind, I felt like relationships that I've had where sex wasn't present, I had to introduce sex into them. And I think that ruined a lot of relationships for me. Maybe not a whole lot, but a couple of the ones that I did have a lot of like respect and love for, that I would have loved to have longevity with, I think that I changed the dynamic and I didn't understand why I was changing it, but the sex changed it. Especially sex with me as an inexperienced individual that wasn't confident in the sex, that wasn't verbal in the sex, and also wasn't really present in the sex and still exploring sex. And what I really should have done was not have fucked those damn people, but number two, I should have continued exploring outside of people who I knew to know more about myself in those experimentations that would have felt good or would have not had so much pressure of me learning, in order to bring that back to myself. And then like, but you just don't know. You don't know that like you having sex with somebody that you've known for years is going to ruin the relationship. You don't know that, especially if that person then is like a guy. I don't know. Like for me, because I had just started having sex at 21, and then I started having sex with a whole bunch of people that year. Like there are so many things that I thought mattered more emotionally and connectively that didn't matter too much to those people who I had now had sex with, and I did not realize that. I didn't realize that there wasn't that much of a value in the fact that we are friends, even if I did introduce sex to you and that was weird for us. Like, I didn't know that people were just like, well, now, fuck you all together. Like, I didn't know people were gonna be like that. Having like an extensive connection with someone who I was just like, okay, well, I respect this person, they respect me, but there's a level of sex that is ingrained in our heads about this lack or this losing of respect, and it takes you having sex to realize that.
Yeah.
You're not gonna just know that out the gate.
Like, yeah. No, 100,000%. I think that's why a lot of women, a lot of girlfriends I have, we've had this conversation about having sex on the first night with a guy, versus making a guy wait, or whatever situation. And we talk, some people feel like, hey, like I'd rather see what we working with. Like what we working with right now, because I might not want to wait 3 months and see what you working with and then be like, oh my God, why don't I just waste 3 months of my time? And it just depends on where you're at and what level of intimacy I feel like that you're looking for with somebody, because it could be physical, it could be very intimate and be something that you want to build and you want to hold on to with that person. And some people, it doesn't have to be at all physical. You can have a very beautiful, intimate relationship with somebody and never have to put your situation with their situation, So I think that also like starting young, it kind of gives you a little bit of different mindset and advantage, because it's like you never had alcohol before, right? And you didn't drink, but then you went to college and all your friends drink, and then you start drinking, and they start drinking when they was younger. You the only one at the party wasted, So it's a learning curve, I feel like, and even with some people I know, like I did celibacy. I was celibate for a year and a half, and through that time I kind of revisited and looked at things like, oh, maybe I won't have sex again until I get married, or and I'm like, but do I really want to wait to see if I don't know if that's gonna work, like if we might get married or get engaged, and then I don't want to have sex with this person the rest of my life. Like I don't think that's a good idea. That's just me personally, because I think that connection is so important. Like if you're going to spend the rest of your life with somebody, y'all need to all the way mesh on every level. I think that connection you have with intercourse has to be out of this world for me to be like, the rest of my life, this is who I'm gonna be with. Because there's a lot of options.
That there are.
You got a lot of options.
A lot of fish to see.
You got men and women out here, and whatever your vice is, it's a lot of different options, a lot of different ways to do it. There's a lot of different things, and you gotta be happy and willing with whatever you choose to lock in.
I agree. Yeah. I wonder where you stand on that, because I see it both ways. I see it where you have sex with somebody very early on and you get to see what they're working with. And that can be a lustful decision. It can be a pleasure decision. Hopefully you connected with this individual enough where it's not super superficial if that's not what you're looking for. But it does inform you on, are you guys sexually compatible? And that can be a huge part of your relationship if you are a sexual person and you think that there is heavy value in having a great sex life. And on the other hand, if you wait, there is information given to the person who is waiting for you. And there is an informed respect that they grow because of this understanding of your difference to other people who haven't waited with them. And I'm sure it's the majority of people who they probably had sex with. And that's one of the reasons why I really value waiting. But I have waited for someone who, like, when I had gotten close to possibly doing something with them, I was just like, I don't know if I like that. And I was no longer intrigued or turned on or aroused by these fantasies.
I don't like that. I don't like that.
I don't know if I was like then intrigued and aroused by these fantasies I had swirling around in my head as the Pisces that I am, and it did not match my reality. And it kind of crashed like those walls down for me, and I was just like, I don't know if I'm really, happy that the waiting was what it was. But the intimacy is there, the respect is there, the trust is there.
It just might not
and the
go
connection
anywhere else.
is there, but but that might be all that's there.
That's all, folks. We got all other things, but this part is missing. We lack it in there.
Yes, that just might all that will be there, which is not that big of a deal, to be honest. It could just
everybody got play their position, But I think for me, I've done it both ways, and it really, I really think it doesn't matter. Honestly, it's really about the intention of you and that person.
I was just about to say that.
And where y'all are at, because I can say long-term relationships, like literally had sex with them maybe in the first week. I've done the first night. I ain't got no shame. If I like you, I like you. If I'm feeling you, I'm feeling you. If I want to do it, I'm gonna do it because we grown. I mean, that's just real. And I could say, I've done it in 7-year relationship. I hollered at him, and he, and it happened, and we was together every day after that. It's just that type of energy, the relationship I'm in now. We met, and first night, and we together 2 years. So, I don't think it matters. I think that it's about, just who you are, and how comfortable you feel, with that person. Like, if that person makes you feel comfortable, like, women know. We know, like, if we're going to give it up when we meet you. So, it's just about if we're going to give it up now or later. So, it's pretty much, like, just the comfortability and that connection. And your intention on what you're going to get from that, like what you guys are going to get from that.
Yeah.
I just had deja vu.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We've been here before.
I think that I agree. And I probably wouldn't like word it as if it doesn't matter, but I would say that like the only thing that's going to be contingent on what happens with the time frame you have sex is what the other person is also thinking. Because I'm imagining with your want to wait is for more positive intention on the act. So if the other person is seeing you in the same respect, whether you have sex with them within 2 hours or you have sex with them within 2 months or 2 years, that should really equate to the same way that they treat you. I think that everything can always grow.
Yeah.
And it's going to have to, because only time can give more love, only time can give more understanding, only time can give more connection. But someone's intention on how they feel about how they're going to treat you should be off rip. They shouldn't see you and think to myself, I'm going to treat her like shit unless, what I'm saying? I feel like that.
It's like unless she drops them drawers, like it's over for her.
Right. And a lot of people are like that, which comes back to my what I was saying. Like, if people see you and they see compassion, if people see you and they see respect, they're not going to then try to diminish you in their minds based on an action that you do that is not negative towards them. If it's a union and it's supposed to be beautiful and it's expression of love, then why would I now treat you like shit because of it? You know, that has a lot to do, I think, with the person that you're doing it with.
I'm gonna add to that. So I can say like I think the intention you can also, well, I'm not gonna say I know the intention can also change too, you know, because I can say even for my current situation, when we both met, it was like wow, we connected, this was beautiful, like it was a great synergy between us. But it wasn't a mindset of I'm looking for somebody, looking to be in a relationship for either one of us. We were both in a space where we were like, you know, I'm good with that, but you know, we could have fun and we could go and travel and do something. Like we were in that energy of like, oh well, this is cool. Let's just see where it goes, you know. And it became something else because even though we didn't have that intention in the beginning, we spent that time and we talked and we communicated. Even though we had sex first and we didn't wait. We communicated and we did all those other things along the way, which brought us closer together, and that's why we ended up being together. Mm-hmm. You know, so your intention can change too based on how you get to know that person, and how you see that person fitting into your vortex.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of people, they have a certain idea of sexuality, but a lot of people are missing sensuality a lot of the times, which I think really informs or feeds into intimacy. So I would like to ask, what are some sensual practices that you have, and how do you distinguish that from your sexual practices?
Sensual. Let's say, it really just depends on where I'm at. I think it fluctuates with how I'm feeling. I'm a Gemini, so my energy, it can switch based on where I'm at, just currently and what I'm doing, what I'm focusing on. I think in sensuality, I love dance. I think that dance is important. We got a stripper pole at my house. So it's just the fun and experience of having that and being able to get dressed up. I love getting dressed up. I got a lot of outfits. But I love getting dressed up for anything. I was in fashion, so whether it's lingerie or costumes or ball gowns, I'm getting dressed up. So I think it's important to feel sexy all the time and be sexy for your partner. Always have something different, you know, changing up the hair. You know, I want to look different. I'll be somebody else. Massage, you know, got the massage table. We use that a lot. And I think that's important to have is just touch. I'm all about touch. I think that's something that's so intimate, touching, kissing, just caressing, like it's so beautiful to be touched the right way, to be caressed the right way. It's so much more than just penetration, you know, for someone to just run their fingers, you know, like and you get off on that. So I guess like the difference between incorporating those things and just sexuality, which is more like geared towards being sexual and having sexual acts and what you do in the bedroom. You know, I think that the sensuality part plays a lot on the foreplay and how you connecting with your partner before actual intercourse.
I love that. Yeah, I am big on touch. I tell people all the time, like, I am just going to melt with good touch. I have also learned about myself through this one somatic sexologist that I had found by watching a show on Netflix that there's different archetypes of your sexual blueprint, and my sexual blueprint is energetic. And I find that that's very, very informative, but also like very telling. Like, of course it's energetic. Like when I think about who I am as a person, because I'm the type of person who can completely be turned off if the energy is off.
Me too.
And like I am also the person who completely be aroused and reach a climactic experience in my body without anything that has to do with going farther than caressing and touch. You know, like I don't need penetration in order for me to reach my highest climax. You know, there are different things that I love to integrate, which include energy work, which includes sensuality, that can really like inform maybe like the biggest break or the biggest release that I've ever had, which I haven't experienced yet. But I know for myself that like I can fully just reminisce on the fact that like you and I had never had penetrative sex, but there was so much there with intimacy and touch. And yeah, like that is definitely what you feed into foreplay. But I love to also express to people that like that could just be the end, you know? Like there doesn't have to be a destination to go to that includes intercourse. Like that you can have just a touch experience as your sexual experience and really not have any sex involved in that experience, you know?
It's an art. And like I only experienced this once in my life, but you know, I met this guy, and you know, he was really into meditation and things like that, and we were, you know, just vibing out. We were talking for a while, you know, and he was like, "Yeah, I can show you like how to have an orgasm without having sex," and I'm like, "What?" Tell me more about this. So the whole situation was literally just like I just laid on the bed, and he literally just like took his fingers like up and down my body, like just caressing me with his fingers up and down, and was able to show me like how he just like moved the energy up from like my root chakra and brought it all the way up in our orgasm. So it's possible. Like, it's an art form. And I'm like, I haven't met, you know, too many people that know how to do that. But it's an art form, and some people practice that. And I've seen a couple people online, you know, that I'm like, oh, that's, and you know, that's interesting. And, you know, you're teaching people how to do that too, you know, it's cool, you know, it's different, you know, but it opens your mind. You know, and it's like, wow, like that can happen? What was I doing all my life?
Yes. Yes, indeed. I feel like not the same, but I guess a similar experience, a non-penetrative orgasmic experience that changed the way that I thought about sex was when I was talking to, I probably mentioned this on Sex Talk before, but I was talking to this individual who gave me the phrase sacred energy exchange, and that's how I kind of started to understand that like the interaction between me and someone else can be a sexual experience. Like it doesn't even have to describe an act that we're doing. It can just be informed by the way that we are interacting with each other. So this was an individual who was so spiritual, he refused to have penetrative sex with me because he said his energy was just tainted from a toxic, long relationship that he had. And he was just like, if we have sex now, all the things that's coming up to you, your trip to Europe, your progression in your life, the fact that I'm here serving you, like all the things is gonna flip. And I'm going to start getting all those things from you. Like, I could definitely drain you because I know that my energy right now is tainted. So it will drain yours. And I was just like, okay.
Well, I love that he
knew.
Okay.
Okay. I was like, all right.
Look at you being self-aware.
I wasn't really worried about sex that way because I'm not so lustful. Now, I can become desiring of you, and I learned to become desirable of him, just because I grew into that because of who he was. And so then, yeah, the lust was there. I was like, we could have had sex already because that's the way I was feeling. But because the way that you have expressed it to me, I have no desire to do this. And now that you are telling me about the intention behind your desire, or for some people, his lack of desire, I understand that there are other means for us to express this energy towards each other.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we did, and it's the only time I've ever done this, was mutual masturbation. And we both sat on my bed and looked at each other and gazed each other's eyes, and I played with myself and he played with himself until we both reached orgasm, and at the same time. And I was just like, first of all, what have I been doing all my life? Because I don't understand how this act of me and my own body and my own fingers and my own synapses and my own brain cells and receptors going off has nothing to do with being touched by anybody, but I'm still getting to this space of ecstasy. And it was probably one of the best experiences of sex I ever had in my life, and it is in the running with experiences that I've had with intercourse and penetration.
Wow.
Yes.
That's amazing.
It's top tier, okay? Top tier. Haven't met someone do it yet. But then again, I don't meet people that conscious.
There you go. The consciousness adds a different level. Just being conscious and being self-aware, and just awareness in itself, for not just yourself, but your partner, everything else going on around you, his connection to his ex and how that affected him, and he was still connected to her. Sex is energetic, when we talk about the spiritual part of it. When you're having sex with a certain partner, and then you're having sex with this partner, or you're having sex with this partner, you guys are all exchanging energy. So whatever this partner might be got going on over here, you might be picking it up over here, or they might be picking up what you got going on over here. So it's very energetic, and it's powerful. And I think a lot of people don't have that consciousness of that, you know what I'm saying? And that awareness of that understanding that when you are open yourself up to that, you're opening yourself up to a lot of different energies. And just on what you were saying about it not having to be penetration, to be sex. So the same guy that had the whole experience with, he explained to me in this way, and I was like, I never heard anybody say this, but it's in alignment with what you're saying. He was explaining to me how you're having sex, in a sense, with, say, all your business partners, right? Because if me and you work together, right, and we come up with a project, and we're like, all right, this is our baby, right? We're connecting on a spiritual level to create and manifest this project, and for it to manifest into the physical. So we're having a spiritual baby, which is this project in the physical. So you're having a spiritual relation, having spiritual sex with your business partner, in a sense. And I'm like, I never thought about it like that. I'm like, I never thought about it like that. But then it made me think, right? Because I had a situation with someone I was working with, and it was completely platonic. I didn't have any attraction or anything to this person. Maybe they had attraction to me, and that's why I was part of the thing. But, at the end of the day, the mindset was about us working together and creating a project together that was to help children, right? And we had a situation, and I saw him do some things that I really just felt didn't fall in lines with my morals, right, and my values. So I just disconnected myself. And I'm one of those kind of people that if I'm not feeling a way about something, I'll just remove myself from the situation. I'm not going tell grown people what they doing wrong or this, that. I'm in a new space now where I'm reevaluating and I'm starting to feel like, okay, with some people, let me express because they may be on a different page.
Mm-hmm.
But before, I was always like, I'm gonna just remove myself, right? So I removed myself and he just started going crazy, like crazy ex-boyfriend. And I was like, why is this man acting like this? And I was explaining this to the guy at the time and he's like, now just think about it. The whole time you had making spiritual babies with this man and creating, you know what I'm saying? Y'all creating together, y'all connecting on a spiritual level, and then you just snatch that away. You take that away, and you're like, I'm not doing nothing with you. I'm taking the kids, and I'm moving out the country. And I'm like, you know what? I never thought about it like that. So maybe that is a big part of what it is. Because if you're looking at yourself from a being and a spiritual, energetic aspect, you're creating all of these things that you're manifesting into your reality. And you're doing it with another being, then you're creating that together and having a spiritual act. And it may not be intercourse on the physical realm, but in the spiritual realm, that's what's going on. So, yeah, food for thought. And it ain't go over your heads.
Food for thought indeed, because I think that two things. On one hand, a lot of like power couples do a lot of business together. And that could just, not that could be, that is another manifestation of the intercourse and sex and connection that they already have in the physical realm, in the spiritual realm, and beyond. And also, when you are thinking of doing business with someone just because, it's definitely important to think of the fact that you want to not do it because of clout or because of popularity or because of this, because of that. It creates more intention, if you believe this, to practice better business habits. And it's funny because, not to say that this individual was probably thinking of having sex with this guy partner of his for business, but this straight man was talking about how he will not do business with another straight man who cheats on his wife. Like, he thinks that
morals.
He said, I know that so many people do, and y'all care about the money, and y'all don't care about anything else, and maybe you guys will have some money. But he said the sustainability and the integrity behind doing work with someone who has a high standard for himself is going to treat the spiritual baby and this manifestation of business in the same way. Because if you don't believe in your wife and you don't love your wife and you treating your wife like crap because you can't give her any respect, how are you going to do that to our business?
How you going to do it to yourself? How you going to have that respect for yourself or the person you working with? It's like, if you cheating yourself in life, then, you know, when you cheating everybody else, like, how could I really respect you on a level to come into what I'm doing and for me to trust you and feel safe that you're not going to cheat our business? I feel that. You gotta see, you know, that's why they always say with business, it's like who you getting into bed with. It's very spiritual, you know, and it's not just about sex. It's really about that creation that you're forming with this individual, and I think that's important, you know. With business, it's very important. Who do you want to merge your name with? We were just talking about this before we started, you know, about protecting your brand. Like, I'm just not gonna put my brands with just anything. I'm not just gonna do it just because I might get paid or whatever the situation. Like, have integrity in your work, have integrity in yourself, have integrity in what you do, and I think that should follow in all aspects of your life.
Agreed. So let's shift gears. As a Gemini, have you ever heard of anyone having any like misconceptions of you based on your sign? And if so, what do they say?
All the time. I think Geminis, we one of the signs that we get it the worst, like as far as having like a bad rap. I think maybe us and maybe Scorpios, Cancers to even Pisces, because so we I think maybe we like the top four. We get it a lot. I think for Geminis, it's always like people are like, oh, you're two-faced. I've heard that a lot, and I'm like, well, who told you that? Like, or being very indecisive, or I know I've met guys who have dated Gemini women. They're like, oh, y'all, wow. I'm like, what does that mean? I think because we're air signs, being an air sign, we're very free. And I think it's like that with most air signs, or even with water signs, like we move like air. Water sign move like water. It's our elements are different, and we're all about just freedom and exploration. We're all about connecting on a higher level for the most part, and we see things differently. So I feel like being a Gemini, like I'm a person who looks at all variables. I'm gonna look at it from this way, and I'm gonna look and be the devil's advocate. And I'm gonna be like, oh, it could go either way, but with no judgment. And I think that a lot of people don't see things in that light, just depending on how you look at life or what sign you are. Some people, in a sense, if you're optimistic or you're pessimistic, or if you're a realist, I think that for Geminis, we're just very open to figuring it out. And I've always been someone to like, I just want to figure it out. I connect the dots, I want to see like, what is it going to be? Because I may see it this way and this person may see it that way. And that doesn't make me two-faced. I've always been a neutral person in the sense, like, I've always been like that median, even between friends or even between family. I've always been a person where, this person may call me and talk to me about this person call me and talk about this, and I hear both of y'all out, But at the same time, I love both of y'all. And I'm going to tell you, okay, whatever I'm feeling about what you're saying, I'm going to tell you, okay, whatever I'm feeling about what you're saying. But then also, if it ever comes up, I'm going to tell you to your face. I've always been that person, So I think that might be the misconception, is like people think that we may be two-faced, or we may look at things and may say this time or that time. But I think that being an involved Gemini is a difference too. Because being younger, we were more like, whatever, we don't care, when you're young, you just don't care what people think. we doing what we doing, I don't care what people think. And I think that was a lot of my expression. And being more evolved now, it's about how do my thoughts and actions affect others. How may this affect the next person? How may this person feel? And just a little bit more love and caring into it. I feel being evolved to where I'm not just in my thought process and in my own perspective of how things may be, but also seeing how other people's perspective may come in and using that on a higher level. So,
how does that translate sexually for you, or has it ever translated sexually for you? Like people's assumption of you. Has it ever been a sexual thing as well, or just purely based on personality?
I think it's a sexual thing too, especially for Gemini. Because like, I told you, I heard guys be like, oh y'all, wow, because they're basically implying that when it comes to sex that, Geminis are more free and open to do different things when it comes to sex. And I think, yeah, because, we're more open to that. I'm not gonna say that I'm just out here going buck wild, but I mean, I've experienced certain things, and I've tried things that I was like, hey, like maybe others may not, it's different depending on where you at, and who you're with. It's definitely about who you're with.
Yeah.
Let me say that, because it's some guys that I've been with that I would never in a million years probably think to do some of the things I've done. And then, certain situations you're in and you just feel comfortable. So.
Yeah, I agree. As a Pisces, I feel like yeah, I really resonate with you mentioning the elements, you mentioning how our personality kind of emulates the elements. Like, I am like water. I really heavily identify with being a Pisces as well too, and I think that's another thing. Like, some people might have a sign and they don't feel connected to their sign. I feel very connected to my sign, and I feel like it's like a very heavy and very like obvious expression of how I am and my personality. And yeah, that go with the flow. Like, I'll be going with the flow of what is happening. Okay, like that has led me into sexual experiences. That has led me through the experiences sexually.
Like the water.
I just be splishing and splashing around. All right. And I think that it allows me to be open and vast, like the ocean, or like deep, like the dark sea. Like, I really do identify with like all different elements, with all different aspects of that element of water. And yeah, it does make me freaking ass bitch. I mean, for real, like that's just what it comes down to. Like, I am willing to try, almost anything once, and I am willing to explore a lot of things with the people who I feel the most comfortable with. And I also am very prideful of all those things and don't give a fuck about who doesn't like it or who thinks it's weird. Like, because I am very committed to my own exploration, my own self-knowledge, and my own pleasure.
That's real. I feel that. I'm definitely one of those people where I'm like, I don't have a problem with speaking on it because it's who I am. And I don't feel ashamed about it, and you shouldn't feel ashamed about it because it's part of your being. I mean, if you're doing what feels right for you, then it is what it is. And yeah, you can think about other people's perspectives and you give some attention to that awareness, but you focus in on yourself and your inner being and what makes you feel good at the end of the day.
Yeah, I agree. In our last moments, what would you say is your biggest sexual fear?
Oh man, a fear? I don't know. That might not be a good question.
Like I said to my last guest, it is not a requirement to have fear.
Right. I'm like, one thing fear is a word that I really don't associate with, because there's nothing we should fear in this world, in this universe. Like, it's nothing that we should fear. I think, it's just a negative word. So I don't have any fears as far as that. It's nothing that comes to mind. Different question.
Next. All right, next question, which is also like, I don't want to say it's a negative question, but it's not like a happy question. What would be a sexual warning you would give someone? Or a warning about sex that you would give someone?
Warning. Be safe. I mean, we talk about exploration. We talk about being free. Even having multiple partners. Whatever you're into, be safe. Get yourself checked. Make sure that person getting themselves checked. So that you can be free and open. Because I think that's very, very important. It's very important that that's the foundation of making sure that you both are STD and all STI and all that. Make sure all that's taken care of. Y'all free and clear to do what y'all want to do and to be open, and just be wary of that and people that aren't worried about safety. I think I'm like, that's the best warning I can give. And be another one, since we talked a lot about spirituality, be wary of those that are in a sense sexual vampires, or they want to say energy vampires in a sense. Those succubus that are out there, there's a lot. And I think that even now in our communities of being more open, especially with the younger generation, that's hearing all the craziness that they hearing coming out and coming into dating and sex life and things like that. Just know that there is a such thing as negative energy wanting to connect to you in lots of multiple ways, and sex is one of them. So I think be wary of who you connect with and exchange your energy with. Don't just give it out to anybody. Figure out if that energy is a vibrational match for you.
Mm-hmm. I want to piggyback off of that. We're almost in time. I know that sometimes when we have partners, we want to be very secretive of them and want to be very private, and there is so much power in privacy, but there is so much abuse in privacy too. And I think that one of the reasons why I'm even having these live conversations is to put a lot of our sexual lives on the forefront, because so many things get hidden in the dark when you don't really talk about them. So when you do come across somebody that you're interested in, you don't want to just give everybody all your secrets, but sometimes you want to ask for people's reputation. Like, I feel like people take things for face value, or they hear what someone else is doing, or they see what someone else is doing, and they just automatically put value on what they see and hear without really going around to understand how other people are seeing and hearing them. And that says a lot about who it is. So especially if you're thinking about having sex with somebody, I think you should know a little bit more than who they say they are. Like, who do other people express to you that they are, and does that align with how they present themselves to you? Because it could easily not. And I feel like that can be much more informed of who this is and whether or not you should be sharing your body with this person. When I was living in Atlanta for 2 years, there are so many fake ass spiritual motherfuckers that live there. It's like, I feel like it's the city for like fake the whole like fake hoteps like situation. I don't know. I don't even want to like crap on Atlanta because it's an amazing city and I do love all my friends there.
I graduated from
But
our institute
like,
in Atlanta. I know.
You come on now. Everyone who has lived there knows what I'm talking about, because there's so many of them. And there's also this like weird there's this weird support of the people who are also doing these things. Like the people who are not completely, totally with positive intentions, the people who are succubus, the people who are really feeding off of the livelihood of the individuals who live there who are positive. There are other people endorsing those people. So it's like you really just have to like talk to people and get people's secrets. And I'm not gonna say just become an investigator for everyone who wants to date you or everyone who's has sex with you. I'm not saying go get crazy. I'm just saying that it's very, very important to find out about who you are now sharing your body with. Like that's just like the number one, just ask around, guys. Ask around.
Dive a little bit deeper. A little deeper. And it's not that hard. You know what I'm saying? Like your circles, depending on your circles,
they small.
They real small, and especially growing up in Baltimore, everybody know everybody. So it's like the guys that's worth dating, everybody know who they are. And somebody that knows somebody that dated them if it ain't your homegirl. It's that type of situation. And I think that even living in Miami, Miami's super small. Like I lived on the beach for years. Everybody that go out and that's in the clubs and the same circles, everybody know each other. So you dating this person, they even been out with that person. So you can pretty much kind of see and navigate that a little bit. I think that's great advice. I think even when I was back in that Miami time, I should have dived a little deeper for some people. So that's great advice. That I kind of saw them at face value, and I was like, oh, this person's out and they doing this and they da-da-da, and they're behind clothes. And I had certain girls telling me afterwards, like, girl, you ain't know. I'm like, hell no. I wish you should have said something, like, be direct. Like, tell me, oh, he ain't the one. So, hey, trial and error.
And a lot of people won't give you unsolicited advice, even if they are close to you. A lot of people see you as someone they don't think too much of, and you're like, I know you for 16 years, and you're my best friend. They're like, well, they didn't want to hurt your feelings. So that's why it's also important. That's why I know. That's why it's also important to ask questions and to tell someone that you want to receive the information, because that creates a different dynamic of what someone is giving space to give you. You know,
I'm gonna say this too, because I told you be a little bit of the devil's advocate though. Sometimes, just sometimes, depending on who they are and who they are to you and their feelings about you, it could go either way with that advice. So you have to use your discernment, right? Because I've had situations where I've asked a homegirl, oh, what you think about such and such, da, 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 and they tell me this, that, because they felt a certain way about that person. I've had a situation where that person was interested in the person I was with and ended up going and dealing with that person after I stopped dealing with them. That could be a thing. I've also had a situation where I've asked for that advice on how I should deal with it from a female, and she was jealous of the situation, and she's like, oh, well, yeah, you shouldn't be with him, or da-da-da-da, but it was only because she just didn't want me to be happy. So use your discernment, and, I've had a situation where a girl told me, oh, it was this, that, and it was this, that. So, use your discernment. It's don't take everything at face value. When you're dating out here, the dating game changed a lot. Thank God. I'm like,
thank God I'm locked down.
I'm like, thank God I'm not in it anymore, right? But when I came back from Mexico, like literally the 2 years I was in Mexico, I was just kind of in seclusion. And yeah, I talked to someone over the phone here and there, partially during that time, but it was kind of like when I came home, after being gone for so long, and I just seen what the data say was. I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. Like, this is what people going through. And, I wasn't even before going to Mexico, I wasn't really actively dating. Like, I had met one guy I was kind of talking to a little bit before I left, but that situation ended up being a whole nother thing, and that's a whole nother conversation. But, I literally just came back and was like going out, and it's like, hey, I've been gone for so long, and everybody's like, hey, good to see you, da, da, da. And I was popping. I came home, I was like, damn, I'm popping, okay? They ain't seen me, I'm doing this. My energy on 1,000. I'm meditating every day, 3 times a day. I'm personal development, building my business. Like, I'm just coming back from doing a retreat in Egypt. My energy is crazy, and I'm going out meeting these guys, and I'm just like, what in the world? Like, why? Or like people dealing with this, and these guys that was just expecting anything. And I'm just like, so, and just seeing where they were at with how they dealt with, like, how they're dealing with women now. And it's vice versa, how women dealing with men, like expecting certain things, and people stereotype you and think that, I met a guy and he's just like, yeah, so, whatever you need, like, so what's up? And I'm like, that's what we doing now? Like, whatever I need, okay, great. And so what's up? So it's like, just out here and just give your body so that I can pay your bills. That's the exchange. I'm like, I'm good. That's the conversation that you having with every female that you meet. It's a little dangerous out here, and a lot of women in that mindset of, oh well, shit, I can fuck him and pay my rent, and then he might give me a bag, and that's what we seeing in the media, and that's what we hearing, and it's putting so much on the younger generation to feel like, oh, a nigga guy flew me out, and it's like, yeah, it's cool to get flued out, right? But not by every nigga. It ain't cool to get flued out by just anybody, and it ain't cool to just be like, oh, nigga just paying my bills because I'm fucking him, or he give me an allowance, but he treat you like shit. And he doing that to you and every other girl. you know, and there's a lot of that going on. So I think that it's definitely an interesting thing going on out here with the dating game. I definitely say, like, use that discernment for you to understand, like, if that person actually is someone of character and can actually give to the situation and build something with you, you know, in a sense, instead of taking from you. Yeah.
And with that, we will come to a close. Piggyback, and yes, it snaps from everything said. Let's bring this to a wrap. Let the people know how they can find you, what projects you might be working on that they can either support or bandwagon in any way, and then we'll wrap this up.
Awesome. So appreciate you guys for tuning in to Sex Talk, and this was a great experience. I was just in my head so much about all the other things. When I was thinking sex, I'm like, oh, we're gonna talk about this, and we're gonna talk about toys, and we're gonna talk about this. I'm like, I had so many other things in my head, but I love how free flowing the experience was, and everything you talked about was the message that needed to be received. And I think that that's beautiful, because it's all about knowledge and empowering our goddesses and our gods out there to understand that you're not the only one possibly thinking this way. That there's a lot of questions that you may have that maybe somebody else has the answer to, and I think it's beautiful that you're doing this platform. And that's part of why I was like, I definitely want to be on there, because I watched some episodes and I was like, I learned a lot, you know? So you never know who you could learn from and what could help you grow in your journey, and what could be that catalyst for you to get to the next level. So I'm really grateful for this and for your platform. If anyone's interested to find me, my Instagram, I have a couple Instagrams, but my personal Instagram is at @IamYourStylist, and my spiritual page, I would say, is Spiritual Detox Shop on Instagram. I help people detox mind, body, and spirit. We do detox retreats. So yeah, you could definitely follow, stay tuned for that. Some detox retreats coming soon. I'm debating on the next place. Right now it's pushing for Sedona. So Sedona's beautiful. So if you're interested in following and coming out to Sedona, have beautiful energy vortex, go out there and really just immerse yourself in the energy. It's beautiful. Yeah, for Spiritual Detox, I'm coming out with a sound healing album this year. So I think that that's something to mention and put out there. I've been working really hard. It's been like 2 years. Actually, me and my partner actually put this project together, and he produced this project, which I'm super grateful for. And he's also playing different instruments on the project, as well as I'm playing the bowls and the chimes and the steel tongue drum, so many different instruments. But it's a beautiful experience, from the physical body through all of your chakras for each track to your astral body. So I'm super excited for this. We're gonna put together a really beautiful listening experience / sound bath. It's gonna be in NYC. So if you guys want to stay tuned for that, follow for that. And if you're interested in the financial side, just building generational wealth, financial literacy, I do financial strategy and help people get to the next level, no matter where you are, you know, and you're just trying to figure it out. If you need to get out of debt, we got programs for that. If you're in a space where you have the money to invest and you're looking out how to build out your portfolio, we have programs for that. So my Instagram for that is at Global Cash Consulting.
And she does it all. She does it all. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure. Love these conversations, and I also, of course, love doing it with people who I'm close to and people who I have a strong, very close connection with. So Thank you again. And we will be scheduling the next one. We don't have that date as of yet, but of course I will be posting once we have that date and we have our next guest. And until then, stay tuned. Let me get up and close this. Peace. Yay! Thank you.
That was
Yeah.